Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, I'm Chrissy and welcome to the channel. I am back, okay? It's been what, 2 weeks since my last video, but I'm back now. I needed a mental break, but we back posting every single week. So make sure you subscribe, turn on the post notifications, and follow me on social media. It's in the description box, okay babe? Love ya. Y'all, I'm so excited for this video. I am back. It's been a long 2 weeks. 2 weeks is too long. So let's get into it. As you could tell by the title, I had a bad run-in with a sugar daddy. You know, I ain't give up no sugar, okay? But he was asking me some weird stuff, right? And we gonna get into it. We gonna get all into it. Some people have had that time where they're like, you know what, I'm trying to find a sugar daddy, right? And you're trying to find sugar daddies that don't want nothing but to talk and give you money. That's hard to find. Ain't no man giving no money without, most men ain't doing that. They're not giving no money if you're not giving something up. And I'm not giving nothing up. So that's like, he wanted me to run these weird errands for him. We gonna get into it. Of course, I gotta tell you one last time, make sure you subscribe, babe, and turn on the post notifications. Follow my social media in the description box. This whole thing started from Tinder, which is now deleted off my phone, okay? His name was, we're gonna say Brad. His name was Brad. Somebody's calling me. He said he was 45 on his profile, but he looked like he was about 30. Like he just looked real young. In his bio, it said, looking for a sugar baby, $700 weekly, no sex, hit me up. So I was like, okay, that sounds too good to be true. You know what? I'm like, whatever, let's just take the chance, right? Let's just try my luck. So I swipe right, boom, it's a match. Then a couple minutes later, I get a message from it. And it says, hey, sweetheart. How are you? And I'm like, ooh, I don't like sweetheart. I already done swiped right. I was like, you know what? This man is saying $700 a week, no sex. we just gonna ignore that. So I ignored that. I ignored the whole sweetheart thing. I was like, it's not that cringy enough not to make $700 a week. So I messaged him back and I'm like, hey, I'm good. How are you? Brad told me that he owned a business. I was just like, oh, that's cool. You own a business? That's cool. He never told me, mind you, I still to this day do not know what type of business this man was running. I do not know. For all I know, he could have been running like a black market, like selling kidneys in an alley type business. Like he could have been a weirdo. Obviously now I know he was a weirdo. He was telling me he owned a business and all this great stuff, basically saying he made a lot of money. After a little bit of talking, he asked me for my Venmo or Cash App to send me the first payment. And I was like, already? Okay. Go ahead, cash at me. I don't have Venmo. Go ahead, cash at me. I gave him my Cash App. You know, I didn't think too much of it because I was like, this is too good to be true. You just gonna send me $700 on Cash App? Really? That sounds like one of them scams, you know, that people be running. Talking about,
oh, you can get a free $750 on Cash App if you just follow this link.
I gave him my Cash App and I just waited. And then a few minutes later, I hear my phone going off and I'm like, what? I look and it says, so-and-so just sent you $700 on Cash App. I'm looking at that notification for like at least 15, 20 minutes. I'm just like looking at it, pacing around my room like, is this for real? Is this real? $700 for talking? Really? I'm thinking this is a dream. And I'm like, okay, I'm about to wake up any second. Let me, nope, not a dream. I go back to Tinder. I see a message. It's from Brad. He's like, are you still there? And I'm like, yeah, I'm still here. Also, what exactly are you looking for in return? You know, because you just sent me $700 on Cash App and all we did was talk. So what exactly are you looking for in return? He said, I'm looking for you to do me a few favors. And I was like, huh. The way he said it, just the emojis behind it and in the context, it sounded like he wanted me to do something sexual, right? So I'm like, okay, like what? And he's like, I just need you to pick up this package. So I'm like, you want me to pick up a package? That's why you sent me $700. So $700 to pick up a package from a location and drop it off at your house, right? So obviously I'm assuming you want me to pick up a package from the post office or you know, somewhere, right? He's like, no. So then, you know, he's like, what's your number? So I give him my number and, you know, first of all, before I gave him my number, this man asked me for a kick. I was like, what is this? Kick? Do you know how old? Nobody uses that anymore. So I give him my number instead. I'm like, I don't use Kick. Just here, take my number. A few minutes later, I get a text. It's an address. He says, this is the address you need to pick up the package from. So it's not a post office. Sketchy. Then he sends me his address to where I gotta drop it off. $700 is $700, okay? I wasn't worried about that. I was worried about the money. Okay? I was broke. As a broke college student, you know, picking up a package for $700 seemed innocent enough. So here we go, going to pick up a package. I text him, okay, I'm on the way to pick up the package. And he's like, I'm not home right now, but there is a spare key under the blue flower pot in front of the door. And then he says, when you go in, he says this very specifically, when you go in, lock the door behind you, then put the package on the dining room table, and then lock the door again when you leave. I understood locking the door when I leave, but like, you want me to come in, close the door, lock it, then put the package down, then leave? Like, it just seemed excessive. But you know what, I was like, okay, it's your house, whatever, I'm gonna do what it do. So I grab my keys, my wallet, I'm out. I'm already in the car. Then I'm driving, my phone buzz. I'm looking at it and it says, it's a text from Brad. It says, I'm serious. Lock the door both times after you get in and after you get out. And this is where I get a little creeped out. I should have been creeped out. Even though locking the door both times seemed a little excessive, I promised him that I would do it. I get to the address he sent me where I have to pick up the package. I get to the house and it's like the whole neighborhood was nice, but this house seemed a little less nice. It was a little dingy. And I pulled up, it had a chain link fence around it. And there was a man standing on the porch. So I pull up basically in front of the house and I park the car. And I'm just sitting there like, what have I got myself into? Like, this man looks a little scary. The doorway, like the front door, his top of his head is up there. Like, he is tall. And like, he was huge. Not only tall, like he was muscular. Like, he was intimidating as I don't know what. This seems like a snatch, grab, and go. Like, he's gonna snatch, grab, and go with me. Like, he is huge, right? So I have every weapon I can have on me, and I walk up to the house. And he's like, are you here for Brad's stuff? Yeah, I guess. And I'm just standing, not on the porch, but you know, on the steps on the ground. So there's the ground where I'm standing, steps, and then the porch. And he's like, okay, stay right there. I'll be right back. He goes in the house and I'm like, sir, I don't even know if I would have moved even if you told me to. I'm standing right here and I'm not going nowhere. So then he comes out with the package and I thought he was gonna hand it to me. So I'm like, thank you. He's holding it, walking past me, and he's like, can you open your car? Can't you just give me the package? Oh! I'm looking at the package, right? And it's just the size of a shoebox. It's not very big. And the corners of the shoebox are like moist. They're damp. Like, there's something in there. It's either the shoebox is old or there's something in there that's like staining this shoebox. I don't want that in my car and I don't even want to touch it. So I'm like, okay. I open my trunk because I don't want that stuff on my car seats. He puts it in the trunk, closes it. I'm like, okay, thank you. I'm walking to my driver's side door. This man, he stops me. I'm already sketched out. So like, you know, I'm gripping my pepper spray. He says, wait. And I'm like, what is it? He says, watch out. And he walks off.
You need to leave.
What do? I get in my car and I speed away. At this point, I'm on the way to Brad's house. I'm like, what have I gotten myself into? I get to Brad's house and I park my car and I'm just sitting in the car. I'm looking at this man's house. This man's house is huge. I'm just in the driveway. The driveway is huge. So I get out the car and I go to the front door and I look exactly where he said the key would be, under the blue flower pot. I grab it and I go in with the package. Once I get in, I'm thinking about everything that Brad had told me. When you get inside, lock the door. When you leave, lock the door. You know, I'm already creeped out. So what do? I lock the door. Then I put the package on the table and I'm just looking around, right? This man's house is nice. All the furniture, it looked like I could go to school 12 times. I could graduate college 12 times. Have all these different degrees and still not be able to afford what he had up in there. The carpet was like this nice plush carpet. It was like a maroon color. And you would think it would look weird, but it really fit. Yeah, his house was nice. I was just in there looking around. I was supposed to be dropping the package off and dipping, but I was like, dang, this is nice. I set the package down and I'm like, let's go. I walk back to the front door. And then I hear the phone ringing and I'm like, okay. So I continue to walk out. I'm like, well, I don't know who that is and this ain't my house. But before I walk out the door, I feel my phone buzz in my pocket. So I look at the message. It's a message from Brad. It says, don't answer any phone calls that aren't from Marvin. Very specific. Again, like these rules and things he has are very specific. I don't know. I was just assuming he wanted me to answer the phone. So, and check to see if it was from Marvin. So I'm like walking in the house, looking, peeking my head through different rooms, trying to find the phone. I find it and I look at the caller ID. It says there's an incoming call from Brad. Why are you calling your house phone? That's weird. Like, you just texted me not to answer any calls that aren't from Marvin, and then you call your house phone. Like, are you trying to test me or something? So I just didn't answer. I don't know what's going on exactly, but I just thought the best idea was to not answer the phone and leave. So I left. And I remember to lock the door on the way out like Brad told me to. I've done a few more favors for Brad. It was sketchy. It was sketchy. I know. Don't judge me. Don't judge me in the comments. I know it was bad. I know. Like I said, I've done a few favors for Brad again. So I remember one time I had drove this BMW. I was like, I drove this BMW to this random park in another city. And it wasn't that far. It's not like I was just going out my way, you know what I'm saying? It was like down the street from me. I drove this BMW to this random park in this random city, only to get out of the BMW, leave it there, and drive a different car back to Brad's house. Like, what kind? I just want to know what type of business you had, sir. I really want to know. You might be in jail by now. And then I also remember that I had to meet one of his employees for lunch. They gave me a briefcase. And then I had to go back to that first house with that tall man and deliver that briefcase there. And Brad told me he would know if I looked inside. So what did I do? Not look inside. I just dropped the briefcase off and I left. As you can see, the errands I ran were sketchy, not a lot of detail, very like behind the scenes, like, oh, maybe she can do it, so nobody's looking at her, like she can do it. You know, I don't know exactly, but Brad, if I could just know what type of business you ran, I would appreciate that. Put it in the comments just so it can be public. He also asked me to go back to that first house with that really tall guy. Turns out his name was Julio. Brad asked me to stay with Julio for a certain amount of time, not like through the night or nothing like that, just like a certain amount of hours or minutes, and then be on my way. And as sketchy as all this sounds, I made a good $3,500 something doing these errands. So as you can imagine, as a college student, that helped me a lot. That helped my pocket. I wasn't starving. I'll tell you that. I wasn't starving. Period. My phone bill was what? Paid. Period. Everything was paid, baby. All I had to do was run a little errand. One of the last few favors I did for Brad was stay at his house. So one morning I remember waking up and I seen a text from Brad. It says, I need you to spend the night at my house. Oh! Even after all these errands, I've still never seen Brad in person. Boom! Dropped a bomb on y'all. I have never, still never seen Brad. Don't know, I've seen his pictures, but I've never seen him in person. I've talked to him on the phone a few times, and he proceeds to tell me that if you stay at my house overnight, just one night, I will pay you $1,000. $1,000? Let me calculate that. Let me just calculate that real quick. Let me show y'all what I'm talking about. $1,000 in my pocket for spending the night at your house. $1K. I'll do it. I got in my car so quick. He said he would pay me $1,000 to spend the night, but I had to follow a few rules, right? So I was like, okay, it's your house, cool, whatever. $1,000. Child, I was in my car driving, pulled up to his house. There was nobody in the driveway, which was normal. Every time I went over there, there was nobody home. So I was like, do you even live here? Because you're never here. The porch light was on. That's weird because every time I came here before, it wasn't on. I was like, maybe he just left it on when he stopped by. I don't know. Who else could have turned the porch light on? I walk in, I lock the door behind me, I go to this coffee table, and under this glass, there's a list of rules that he has wrote for me to follow for this night that I'm supposed to stay here. As I find that set of rules, I sit my stuff down. And I'm looking at my stuff. I have the piece of paper in my hand like this list. Oh, this is perfect for this video. So I have the set of rules in my hand like this, and I put my stuff down. I'm just looking at my stuff. Then I'm looking at his house and all his furniture, and I'm like, my stuff looks like garbage compared to all this nice stuff in here. Like, it just looks like a sore thumb just sticking out. It was bad. I've never been in a house that fancy ever again. I read the set of rules, right? It is very, very specific. I put in my notes really quickly the set of rules that I could remember from that night. This is all I could remember. So he said, lock the door when you come in, because that was the main rule that he always made me follow. And then it says, only answer calls from Marvin. That's another rule that he had stated before. And then this is when it gets like really specific. It says, do not turn on any faucets between 9 p.m. and 11 p.m. That one was so specific. It was one of the first rules I remembered making this list, because it was like, why does it matter when I turn the water on? Like, what if I have to get up and pee? Like, and I'm not gonna wash my hands? Yuck. He also said, don't open the door for anyone, no matter who they say they are, after 10 p.m. If the door to the closet at the end of the hall is open, sleep in the library, and if it's closed, sleep in any room in the house. And then he said he has a gardener that comes at midnight. If he starts knocking on the windows, hide. I felt like I was in a video game. Like if you watch like Corey Kenshin and them, that is what it felt like. One of them like first person view horror games. That's what I felt like. If he knocks on the windows, hide. Why? He's the gardener. Didn't you hire him? Can't you just tell him I'm here? I remember him saying, turn on the TV and let it play on static throughout the night. And then in bold letters next to it, it says, do not forget this. There was a few other ones I don't really remember, but they were very specific, just like these. And then I also remember him telling me to help myself to anything in the fridge, and then he would pay me in the morning. Of course, I made sure to follow all the rules. I mean, I was getting paid for this. I had regretted my decision to go there, but I was already there, I was getting paid, and I was like, you know what, if I just follow the rules, I'll be fine, right? Like there's nothing nothing's gonna happen to me if I follow the rules, right? It just felt a little odd. It just felt like weird. All these rules, like what is this? A haunted house? If he knock on the windows, hide? Like, what is this? I lounged around the house for a little bit, you know, I'm just chilling. I'm laid back. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go to bed at 9, because that's when he says, you know, not to turn on the faucet. So I'm like, you know what? It's like 8:40, 8:50. I'm in there doing all my face routine stuff, brushing my teeth. I'm doing what I got to do before it's 9 o'clock. So I don't have to use the faucet no more. Use the bathroom, wash my hands. I try to do everything I got to do before 9. So after I'm done with all my face routine stuff, brushing my teeth, all that, remember, he told me earlier that if the closet at the end of the hallway was open, to sleep in the library, and if it was closed, I could sleep in any room in the house. I looked at that closet at the end of the hallway and it was open. So I was like, okay, let me grab all my stuff and let me get into this library. I grab all my stuff, I get into the library, I close the door, I lock it. This man, I felt like I was in Beauty and the Beast. He had a library in his house. Are you kidding me? But anyway, there was a couch in there. So I'm chilling on the couch, scrolling through my phone, checking to see if I gotten any messages from Brad whatsoever. And I hadn't gotten any. So I was like, okay, this night must be set. Like all the rules, that's it. He's not gonna text me nothing. He's gonna pay me in the morning and we're gonna be done with this weird experience. I could not sleep for nothing. I was up thinking about all these different types of scenarios, about why this man had such strict rules. What is gonna happen if I don't follow these rules? You know what I'm saying? Like just a little bit more detail, Brad. I could have used a little bit more detail. After scrolling through my phone on TikTok for a little bit, it was like 10:30, 10:15, 10:30, I would say. I'm like dozing off finally, because I just could not sleep. I was so creeped out. But then I'm woken up to the doorbell ringing. Like it is ringing like it is ringing off the hook. And then I was about to get up to answer the door, but I remembered the rule. It says don't open the door for anyone, no matter who they say they are, after 10 p.m. I sit right back down and I'm quiet. I'm quiet as ever. I felt like even the slightest bit of movement, they would have known I was in there. And then I hear the doorbell ringing again, and it comes with a pounding after the ring. So they ring the doorbell and they're pounding at the door like, they're like, it's the police. Open up. And I'm like, I'm not moving. I'm sorry, but he said don't open the door. He said don't open the door after 10, so I'm not opening the door. They're banging on the door still. They're like, it's the police. Open up or we're coming in. So I'm like, okay, you gonna have to come in there, because I'm not opening the door. He said don't open the door. I'm not opening it. So I'm sitting there quiet, just waiting for them to bust through the door and find me in here. And while I'm waiting for something to happen, I am like, my heart is beating. My heart is beating out my chest. And then there's silence for like at least like a minute or so. And then I hear the doorbell ring again. And they're like, it's Brad, let me in. And I'm like, Brad's here? Finally? Something just told me not to open the door. Not only because of his rule, but it's like, this is your house. So you should have a key to get in, right? I'm not opening the door. I go back to the library and I lock the door. I'm not opening the door. And he never came inside from what I heard. I didn't hear anybody come inside after I went back to the library and locked the door. If it was Brad, he did not come inside because I didn't hear nothing. So this continued for about a good hour. Not just Brad, but just random people coming to the door saying who they were, ringing the doorbell, and then they would disappear and it would go silent. The gardener that I was supposed to knock on the windows and I was supposed to hide from if he knocked on the windows didn't come from what I know. I tried to get some sleep. It was hard. I probably got like an hour or two of sleep. I just could not sleep. I can't sleep in anybody else's house anyway, or like a hotel. I just can't sleep anywhere that's not my own bed in my own place. I just can't sleep. I woke up the next morning and I hear somebody in the kitchen. So I'm like, who is that? So I grab my pepper spray. I grab every weapon I got. Like I said, I grab it all. And I like open the library door. I like slowly walk out into the kitchen. I peek out and it's Brad. Brad is in the kitchen. This is the first time I'm seeing this man. So Brad is in the kitchen. So I put my pepper spray in my pocket. He turns around, he's like, oh, hey, good morning. And I'm like, good morning. He was like, do you want some scrambled eggs? He points to this pan. It's a nice pan too. He got this nice little wooden spoon. It was nice. And I was like, no, I'm good. You know, because I don't know this man. I'm not eating nothing this man give me. You know what I'm saying? I'm still black. I still got common sense. I'm not stupid. You know what I'm saying? Like, despite what y'all might think about this whole situation. Yeah, I'm not eating anybody else's food. I don't know you. But he offered me scrambled eggs and I sat down by the kitchen table. And he offered me coffee and I was like, no, thank you. And then there was this awkward silence. And I was like, I think I'm just gonna go. I have a class. I did not have a class, but I wanted to get up out of there. It was creepy enough. So I was like, I'm getting up out of here. I'll see you later. I want my payment though. Don't forget that. But he said, okay, all right. Don't forget to lock the door on the way out, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, I'll send you the payment in a few minutes. He said he would talk to me some other time. And then I grabbed my stuff and started to walk out the door. He asked me how was like spending the night there. And I was like, you know, it was pretty cool. Nothing too creepy happened. And then he was like, okay, cool. So he walked me to my car and I drove away. And I'm looking in the rearview mirror and I can see that this man is still standing at the doorway, just watching me like drive away. So when I got home, I unpacked all my stuff, took a shower, everything I had to do. I realized that I still have this list he gave me. So I'm like, let me look at this list one last time before I throw it away. And I'm reading it and my body is tense. I am like, I forgot to do one of the rules on the list, y'all. 2 rules on the list, probably. Because I didn't get nothing out the fridge. I did not trust that man. And then I remember the list said, turn the TV on and let it play on static all night. And it said in bold letters, do not forget this. And that part is like just replaying in my head. Do not forget this. Do not forget this. Let the TV play on static. Do not forget this. And I'm like, is it that big of a deal? And then I hear my phone ding and it's the payment of $1,000 to my Cash App. And I don't know why, I could not get this out of my head. It said, do not forget. So I'm like, what was supposed to happen? You know, like if I didn't follow the rules or if he found out I didn't follow the rules. The list didn't say to lock the door when I left that morning, but I was assuming that was because he was gonna be back. I get a text from Brad after he sent me the $1,000 and he says, I'm not in town right now. I should be back next week. So until then, you're free from running errands for me. And then he said, go do something nice for yourself with the money. I'm frozen looking at this message because you said you were not in town. But Brad was just in the kitchen when I left this morning. And you're Brad. So why are you saying that you're not in town right now? I know you didn't leave that quick. So now I'm like, who was I talking to in the kitchen then? Who was I talking to if that was not Brad? So I stared at that message and I'm like, you're not in town right now. Yes, you are, big buddy, because I just saw you. I just saw you in the kitchen. You was trying to offer me eggs and coffee. After I'm done overthinking everything and thinking about how I just seen Brad in the kitchen, but he's telling me that he's out of town, I get a text from a number that I don't know. And it says, did you forget something? I don't respond. But after reading the list, I know I forgot something, but who's to say that that's what they're talking about? A few minutes later, there's a picture of Brad standing in front of the TV. And now I know that that's exactly what they were talking about. And I don't reply. And then there's another picture of Brad that was sent to me. So I'm like, okay, let me look at it. I open it. It's a picture of Brad in front of my house. And then I get a text message. Just like Julio said, remember that tall guy? When I left his house, he said, watch out. So I got a picture of Brad in front of my house. And the next text message says, watch out, watch out, watch out.